So there are years that Martin Luther King Day comes and goes in the NBA without much comment outside of the basketball games being played. But just this past week offered yet another harsh lesson that this is not one of those years. We are a nation that is clearly still striving to pay off our founding declaration, that all men are created equal. And while there are some in the world of sports who would like to keep their games and their teams separate from all that, you know, the, hey, I want sports to be an escape crowd. The truth is, we couldn't keep it separate if we tried. In America, sports is the place where we all meet, no matter what we look like or how we grew up or what TV shows we download. Sports is where the content of your character gets at least the closest to eclipsing the color of your skin. And there has been no league better than the NBA at recognizing the role sports plays in both leading and reflecting these national conversations. Think about it. As another big sports league spent this past fall meeting with players to ask them to stop putting social issues quite so front and center, the NBA and its Players Association sent out joint letters to encourage players to dedicate themselves to social causes more. And they have meant it. Remember when Carmelo and Chris Paul and Dwayne Wade and LeBron all stood up at the ESPYs and asked their fellow athletes to get more involved? Well, that was July 13th, 2016. A date, not coincidentally, LeBron will have etched on the shoe he's wearing on court today. And in the time since, NBA teams and players have participated in 222 programs in 26 cities. More than 10,000 young people and law enforcement officers have been brought together, trying to chip away at a divide that so often ends in bloodshed. There have been more than 40,000 new mentor signups. That isn't just lip service. That is real stuff. Just yesterday, Commissioner Adam Silver and Players Association Chief Michelle Roberts spent time with the Lakers and Grizzlies touring the National Civil Rights Museum, capped with a $100,000 donation. The images from that visit are profound, but some move to tears. And I would expect some extra weight in today's game in Memphis, the place MLK was assassinated 50 years ago, as well. There's plenty of Dr. King quotes floating around today. I have always been partial to his speech from Selma when he said, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice." I've tried to remember that line in the moments this year when things have seemed most dark. I've also remembered this one, quote, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter." The NBA and its players have no interest in being silent, not just today, but always in this league. It is about more than just basketball. Byron, we can all talk in generalities, but you lived through so many of these moments as a player, as a coach. You played for the Lakers during the Rodney King riots. You were here in LA when Donald Sterling was ousted from the league. What specific memories do you have about how players were called upon to step up in some of these moments?
Well, I think the first one for me, Rachel, was the Rodney King incident. And that's when I thought players really start to have more of a voice. They wanted to be heard. They wanted to show the world that they understand what's going on and understand the color of their skin is something that a lot of people look at as being a negative for whatever reason. And I think, like you said, with Dr. Martin Luther King, it was all about equality. It was all about everybody being treated equally. And I still don't think we've got nowhere near that to this day. But the fact that our young players, in the NBA especially, are using their voice and using that platform to get their point across, to me has been one of the most significant things that I've seen in the 30 years I've been involved in the NBA. And I love it. I really do. I love it. I really appreciate these young guys that are stepping out on the ledge, so to speak, and showing the world that they do have a view of what's going on in our country today. And even looking at that piece and listening to your monologue about Dr. Martin Luther King gets me choked up. You know, because I know he was assassinated when I was 6 years old, but it's still, to this day, it still sticks with you. You know, so it's very emotional for me as well.
Yeah, I think there are two things at work here. I mean, the first is it is no longer controversial to talk about issues that affect you personally, the league you play in, the community you're a part of, and the nation you live in, for that matter. But I think there's a second thing at work with today's generation of players, and this is very, very much an era defined by players' self-determination. And what I mean by that is players have collectively said, you know what, it's our talents that drive the value of this league, and as such, we are going to act as power brokers. And I mean, LeBron has obviously been at the forefront of this, and to me, in some ways, that's an even more political expression than just a political opinion.
Something that a lot of people don't like,
Right,
right? And have
right.
reacted to and cloaked in different reasons that they don't like it, but we know what one of the big reasons is, right?
It's understood that players are employees and they have their place, which is to entertain.
Stay in your lane.
Right.
As a player, that's what you do. You're an athlete. Stay in your lane.
Yep.
You are not supposed to have political views. You're not supposed to have social views. You're supposed to just play basketball. That's your job. And our players are looking at that and saying, like you said, no. That's our job. But we are people, and we do live in this country, and we do have an opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, I mentioned the Donald Sterling thing. I mean, the players in the league were one of the big
Yes.
impetuses to push and say, you
Yes.
know what? This isn't okay anymore. And we see that more and more in the NBA. And it's funny, people always come up to me and they say, oh, you covered the NFL for a long time. You covered the NBA. Which do you like better? I love football. I love basketball. I am proud to cover the NBA. I have not felt that way with some of the other leagues I've covered, and that's a big difference. It's meaningful.